Chess friends, do you ever sacrificed your bishop for no reason? No, then that's fine. Never sacrifice your pieces for no reason, but, today I sacrificed my bishop in the opening against Magnus Carlsen. You can call it Botez Gambit Bishop Sacrifice Speedrun. And I will analyze Magnus Hikaru 5D chess game another day. Let me show you my legendary chess game first. I stated with e4, d6 by Magnus. I developed my bishop on c4 to sacrifice it on f7. Okay, he played knight f6, I played bishop takes f7, I win a pawn and cut off his castling ability, king takes f7 by him, I pushed my d4 pawn. If you take it, then queen comes to give a check, and win the knight. If you say what about knight back to f6, well, let me show it. Knight captures pawn, it's not queen f3 check, it's queen to h5 check. If king backs, then d5 check, and I will win back my knight. If pawn pushing, then queen d5 check anyway, and I will win back my material. So, in this position, Magnus responded with c5, I chooses to play knight c3. But I think g takes pawn was best because the pawn is pinned, he can't take back because of this. Anyway we have c takes pawn, queen takes pawn, knight comes to c6, queen backs to d3, knight goes to e5, queen back to e2, queen comes to b6, I think he wants to play queen a6, try to exchange it, or he can develop like this, rook here, king g8, okay, I played a4, queen comes on b4, he can apply queen exchange on c4 square, or he can develop his bishop. I pushed the pawn, bishop comes to g4, rather than dancing the queen on e3 and g3 square, I flexible the position with f3, it is called kingside pawn chain, and the good thing is that my dark square is not weak for now because his dark bishop is very passive on there, so, Magnus backs his bishop, I played f4, some of you might say, Stockfish, what about bishop g4 again? Let's take a look about this, targeting the queen so I cannot take the knight, queen slides, knight back to c3, rook up to a4, queen backs. Bishop targets queen, queen runs away on h5, h3, and king backs. I mean white is successfully kicked out all the black pieces, black have no attacks now, and Stockfish will manage this, so, in this position, instead of playing bishop g4, Magnus played best move knight c4, threatening the pawn with knight and queen. He can also play rook c8, I played a6, Magnus knew that I am Stockfish, I will not sacrifice a pawn for no reason. So, he pushed the b pawn, queen up to d3, bishop goes to c6, targeting the pawn with bishop and knight. I developed my knight on f3, the knight is pinned to the queen, so what should he play? If you tell him, Magnus, just play bishop takes pawn, if bishop takes pawn really happen, then I will play knight g5 check, the king have to go back in g8, then knight takes e4, I will gain ultimate advantages, and if you take the knight, then queen check, e6, queen checkmate, game will be over, so, back to the position. He played knight takes e4, knight goes to d4, in this position. There is many variations, knight takes, or bishop here, let's check it one by one. If knight takes happen, then knight takes bishop, targeting back the queen, queen have to run, knight backs, knight here, knight b3, queen slides, and the game will continue like this, black have only -1.21 advantages. So, back to the position, if you try to save the bishop, then rook up to a4, queen slides, knight takes e4, bishop takes, queen takes e4, and white will gain super advantages. Black's king position is very bad, weak pawn structure, passive bishop and rooks, so, he takes the pawn with knight, bishop takes b2, queen takes bishop, targeting this and this, so, here I played knight takes e4, the knight is hanging, the rook is hanging, but if you try to play bishop takes knight, then queen takes e4, queen takes rook. And if you say, wow, I got the second rook, queen takes h1, queen d5 check, king backs, queen takes check, king up, queen check, and the game will be a draw by repetition moves, and if you say what about king g6 move, then queen check, king here, then it will be mate by queen g5. So, back to the position, Magnus Carlsen here chooses to play queen takes rook, king goes to f2, if you want to take the rook, I mean if you take the rook with queen, then knight sacrifice on d6, whereby knight takes d6, the king have less square to run. If you play king g8, then queen check and mate. If you play king f6, then it will be checkmate on f5, so, if you take it, then queen check, king backs, knight takes, and all those squares are covered by the knight and queen. How do you prevent checkmate on queen e6 and e7 square? There is mate in 8. So, back to the position, Magnus here played queen a4, try to supporting the bishop, so, knight c3, targeting this, and this, queen slides, knight takes bishop, queen takes f4 check. If you think what about queen f3, if it happen, then queen takes, king takes, and the position will be fall for you because he have a rook for a knight, and some extra pawns. So, back to the position, I played king to e1, threatening rook f1, try to pin the queen to the king. He played queen c2 check, knight back to d1, threatening rook f7 check, king backs, queen here, knight here, which will be a discover check, king slides, and checkmate on d7 with the supporting of knight. So, queen back to g5, rook slides on f1, king back to e8, queen on e4, I wants to play knight e3, and rook f5, he played g6, he wants to develop his piece, h4 by me, queen slides on c5, knight up to e3, king in d7, knight back to d4, queen slides, king f2, I want to put my king in a safe place, rook slides, knight on d5, I want to play this, king here, rook takes, then queen takes checkmate, wow. So, he played queen takes a6, queen on e6, king backs, king g1, threatening rook takes f8 check, the king and queen is far away, the king have less square to run, and if you try to play king here, then knight f6 check, here, and checkmate. So, in this position he played rook to c5, try to make escaping squares for the king, we have rook takes, queen takes, king here, takes, king up, check, king backs, knight check, it's a fork on the queen, so you have to take it, queen takes. Wish you all the best, thanks for your support and subscribe for more. Bye bye, take care, see you in my next video.